In January 2026, archaeologists working in central China made an announcement that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. What they found wasn't just old. It was impossibly sophisticated. More than 2,000 stone tools, buried for over 160,000 years. And they weren't crude. They were precision instruments, tools fitted with handles, requiring planning, skill, and imagination. This is history that hits. And today, we're traveling to the Jigo site in China's Henan province, where a discovery is forcing us to reconsider everything we thought we knew about early human innovation. For generations, the story of human progress followed a familiar arc. Innovation began in Africa, spread through Europe, and eventually, slowly, reached the rest of the world. East Asia? According to the textbooks, it was a technological backwater, a place where simpler, less advanced tool traditions persisted while other regions raced ahead. But what if that story was wrong? What if the people who inhabited ancient China were not followers, but pioneers? What if they were innovating on their own, tens of thousands of years ahead of schedule? The evidence now suggests exactly that. And the implications are staggering. To understand why this discovery matters, we need to talk about what archaeologists call hafted tools. The term comes from the word haft, the handle of an axe or a spear. Hafted tool isn't just a rock you pick up and throw. It's a composite technology. Stone, wood, binding material, multiple components working together as a single system. Creating one requires abstract thinking. You need to visualize the finished product before it exists. You need to plan across multiple steps, gather different materials, and execute precise techniques. For a long time, scientists believed this kind of cognitive leap happened first in Africa and Europe. The assumption was that East Asian populations didn't develop these techniques until much, much later. The Jigo site sits in China's Henan province, in the heart of the Central Plains. Archaeologists have been excavating there for years, carefully sifting through layers of ancient sediment. What they found exceeded all expectations. Layer after layer of occupation, spanning from 160,000 years ago to approximately 72,000 years ago. 90,000 years of continuous human presence. And within those layers, more than 2,600 stone tools, not scattered randomly, but concentrated in distinct living areas where ancient toolmakers once worked. The research team, whose findings were published in Nature Communications in January 2026, spent years analyzing these artifacts. What they discovered would rewrite the textbooks. Among the 2,600 tools recovered, researchers identified clear evidence of hafting technology. Stone implements specifically designed to be fitted with handles or attached to wooden shafts. The stones showed telltale modifications, deliberate notches for binding, carefully ground edges to fit against handles, and in some cases, traces of the adhesives used to secure them. These weren't accidental marks. They represented intentional, sophisticated engineering. According to the study authors, this demonstrates advanced toolmaking techniques to produce small, precise flakes. The dating placed the earliest hafted tools at approximately 160,000 years old. This pushed back the timeline for composite tool technology in East Asia by roughly 90,000 years. As the research team stated, this discovery challenges the perception that stone tool technology in Asia lagged behind Europe and Africa during this period. The implications are enormous. If early humans in China were creating sophisticated composite tools 160,000 years ago, the out-of-Africa model of innovation needs serious revision. But here's where the story becomes even more intriguing. Because we need to ask a fundamental question. Who made these tools? The dating presents a puzzle. Homo sapiens, modern humans like us, may not have reached this region until around 40,000 years ago. These tools predate that arrival by more than 100,000 years. According to Live Science's reporting on the discovery, the toolmakers may not have been made by Homo sapiens. The leading candidates? Denisovans, or possibly late surviving descendants of Homo erectus. The Denisovans remain one of archaeology's great mysteries. We know they existed primarily from genetic evidence and a handful of fossils found in Siberia. But their DNA lives on in modern populations across Asia and the Pacific. They interbred with our ancestors. They were, in every meaningful sense, our relatives. If Denisovans created these hafted tools, it raises profound questions. Were they more cognitively sophisticated than we assumed? Did we underestimate their capabilities simply because we had so few artifacts to study? The same questions apply to Homo erectus descendants who may have persisted in East Asia, our evolutionary cousins, separate branches on the family tree. What the Jigo discovery suggests is that sophisticated technology wasn't limited to one genius's species. Multiple populations, across vast distances, may have independently developed advanced toolmaking. As the study authors concluded, these findings suggest that advanced toolmaking was not confined to a few geographic hotspots, but emerged across much of the Old World during the Middle Pleistocene. Let's pause on that phrase. The Middle Pleistocene. It's the geological epoch spanning roughly 781,000 to 126,000 years ago, a time of dramatic climate shifts. Ice ages came and went. Glaciers advanced and retreated. Sea levels rose and fell by hundreds of feet. The planet was in constant flux. Through all of this, populations across Asia were adapting, surviving, and apparently innovating. Not waiting for better ideas to arrive from elsewhere, but developing their own solutions. The Xigou site's 90,000-year span of occupation tells us something crucial. This wasn't a one-time invention. It was a sustained technological tradition, passed down across thousands of generations. From the earliest layers at 60,000 years ago to the most recent at 72,000 years ago, the evidence shows continuous refinement. Toolmakers teaching toolmakers, century after century. Think about what that means. 90,000 years is an almost inconceivable stretch of time. For perspective, the entire span of human agriculture, everything from the first planted seeds to modern industrial farming, fits into just 12,000 years. The pyramids of Egypt? Built roughly 4,500 years ago. The Xigou toolmakers maintained their technological tradition for 20 times that duration. The research team found evidence of sophisticated production methods throughout the site. According to their Nature Communications paper, inhabitants employed advanced stone toolmaking techniques with remarkable consistency. They weren't just making tools. They were making tools designed to make other tools, a level of planning that demonstrates sophisticated abstract thinking. This is what archaeologists call prepared core technology. You shape a stone in advance, planning exactly how it will fracture to produce the flakes you need. The Jigo toolmakers mastered this technique. They could produce multiple standardized tools from a single carefully prepared core, maximizing their raw materials. None of this happened by accident. Each step requires foresight. Each technique requires teaching and learning. Knowledge had to pass from generation to generation, which means these ancient populations had culture. They had tradition. They had ways of preserving and transmitting complex information across vast stretches of time. The Science Daily report on the discovery summarized it bluntly. These ancient tools in China are forcing scientists to rethink early humans and their capabilities. What's being rethought isn't just a timeline. It's an entire framework for understanding human innovation itself. The old model imagined innovation as a kind of torch, passed from one region to the next. Africa developed new tools. Those tools slowly spread outward. Other populations eventually caught up. The new picture is far more complex. Multiple populations, separated by vast distances, were developing sophisticated technologies in parallel. Innovation wasn't flowing from a single source. It was emerging everywhere, wherever intelligent populations faced the challenges of survival and found the cognitive capacity to solve them creatively. This has implications far beyond archaeology. It touches on fundamental questions about human nature itself. If Denisovans could create hafted tools, what else were they capable of? What songs did they sing? What stories did they tell? What else has been lost to time? We may never know the full scope of their achievements. Stone survives. Wood rots. Woven fibers disappear. Most of what any ancient culture created is simply gone. What we find at sites like Jigo is only what the earth chose to preserve. The stone skeleton of something far richer, far more complex. The Sai. News coverage of the discovery emphasized that the Xigou site yields evidence of advanced stone tool technology. Evidence that demands we revise our assumptions. Those assumptions ran deep. For decades, the narrative of human progress had a clear direction. West to east, advanced to primitive, sophisticated to simple. The Xigou discovery exposes those assumptions for what they always were: stories we told ourselves, not facts written in stone. What is written in stone, literally, is the evidence from Henan province. 2,600 artifacts, 160,000 years of history, and a clear message. We were wrong about who was capable of what. The toolmakers of Jigo weren't waiting for innovation to arrive. They were creating it themselves, in their own place, in their own time. And they were doing it for 90,000 years, a span of time that dwarfs everything we call civilization. So what can we take from this discovery? First, a reminder that our narratives about history are always provisional. New evidence can reshape everything. The Jigo findings were published in Nature Communications just weeks ago. This is active, ongoing science. More discoveries will follow. If you want to follow this research as it develops, Archaeology magazine has been covering the story in detail. Their reporting offers accessible entry points into the technical literature. Consider also the broader lesson about assumptions. When we describe any population as primitive or backward, we should ask, is that based on evidence, or is that based on absence of evidence? The archaeological record is radically incomplete. What survives is a fraction of what existed. Absence of artifacts doesn't mean absence of ability. If you're interested in exploring human evolution further, many natural history museums are updating their exhibits in light of recent discoveries like this one. The story of human origins is being revised in real time. Each year brings new sites, new dates, new populations we never knew existed. Staying curious about these developments connects us to something fundamental: the question of who we are and where we came from. The toolmakers at Xigou faced challenges we can barely imagine. Ice ages, megafauna, predators that would have hunted them in turn. They survived. They innovated. They passed their knowledge forward. And somewhere in the genetic legacy of modern East Asian populations, their contribution lives on. We are not the only smart species that ever walked the earth. We are simply the only ones still here to tell the story. The Xigou site reminds us that innovation has no single birthplace. It emerges wherever thinking beings face problems and refuse to accept the world as it is. 160,000 years ago, someone picked up a stone and imagined what it could become. They saw a weapon, a tool, a means of survival, something that didn't yet exist. And then they made it real. That impulse, to see what could be and bring it into existence, is the thread that connects them to us across the vast gulf of time. This has been History That Hits. Until next time, keep questioning the stories you've been told. The past is full of surprises.